Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about custom forms. I know the traditional way to do forms on Power Apps is using a form control, but a form control has a lot of limitations that a custom form does not. But custom form requires a little more ingenuity and know-how in order to get it to work the way it should. Alright, so I'm not going to build it from scratch. I'm going to show you a product that I built, because it would take too long to do it from scratch. But I'm going to show you some basics, techniques to build a custom form. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is, like I always do, we're going to start in SharePoint. Okay, this is my dev site, and I'm going to go to site contents and show you the list that I built, its basic structure, and then we'll go into the Power App. So in here I built this thing called Safety Motorcycle Form Beta. Okay, I am going to build a motorcycle waiver that I received when I used to work in Third Group, and we'll go from there. Don't worry, there's no military data in it. It's all civilian data, so it can be used for anything. So this is the list I made for it. You can use a library just the same. You just need metadata, because that's what's going to be in the form. And the columns I put in here, there's not a lot of them. There's a few, but there's probably like 30 columns, maybe 40 at the most. But you see, I made them all single line of text except for the date and time and one choice field, because it's multiple select. So I just figure I'd just make it a choice field in here. Most of the stuff is standardized controls inside the form, but it's easier to use single line of text because it'll accept any kind of data. Okay. You can see that there is a naming convention going on here, so I know what the field's for. Okay, that's important. Okay, there's nothing special about this list. I got one view. I didn't need most of the views. You're literally only using this SharePoint list to store the data. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do for the Power App is I'm making a Canvas app. So this is literally the last involvement you have with this, unless you need to add more columns. But it's also well plan this out so that way you only got to come back here once, because flipping back and forth between the form and SharePoint is going to annoy you after a while. All right. So let's go into the Power App. Okay, so click the app launcher, and we're going to go into Power Apps. My internet's been kind of shoddy lately, so I apologize now if it hesitates a lot. So you go into your apps, and I called this custom forms. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and edit this custom form. Now I'm going to show you the finished product first, like I do always, and then I'll go into a few techniques that I did to build these things. Okay. Alright, so this is our main screen. It's just a label with a couple icons, a couple header labels, and a gallery. Okay, the gallery is used to open up forms that are already created. The plus signs used to create new ones, and the little reload button up here is for sometimes the gallery gets left behind and sometimes won't sync right, so you just hit this and it'll refresh it. So first thing we're going to do is I want to show you the custom form. Okay. On this form, you noticed that one definite advantage of a custom form is real estate, right? You can put them literally right next to each other. You can put them right on top of each other. I mean, I made a form for the safety section while I was at Third Group, with, I think it had 87 fields in it on one screen. It was their training tracker that I made for them, and it looked really good. There was no space wasted. There was zero white space on that whole thing, and everything they wanted was on that form. I could do it all on one screen. Now, the purpose of this is to gather data for the actual printable screens that I made, which are the other two screens you see below the custom form, where it says screen form filled in page 1 and page 2. And basically what you're going to do with that is you're going to print it as a PDF, and then you'll just use Adobe Acrobat to combine them together, and then you'll have one form. That is one limitation of printable screens on PowerApps, is you can only do one page per screen. There's a scrollable screen, but it still will not do multiple pages. I heard rumors that they're trying to make something where you can do multiple pages on one screen, but I don't know how founded it is. Alright, so the way I did this, and the way I usually make most of my custom forms, is I use a container to build the initial record, which usually is just like 1 or 2 fields, just enough to make the record, and then I use a form like this to finish it up. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen, and I'm going to go ahead and play my app just to simplify things here, and then we're going to hit the plus sign. Now basically what I did here is I just created a container that has a label on it and one combo box. The combo box don't really do anything except service the next step. Alright, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put my name in here. And when you put your name in here, it'll populate this box with what it can, okay? Like your personal email and your middle initial, which I did learn how to pull your middle initial from your display name, but I don't have one, so I couldn't show you anyways, even if I wanted to. So it fills in, it uses the data from this box to fill in these, using the Office 365 users connector, okay? It uses the user profile function of it, and you can pull the surname, the given name, the work email, and the phone, the business phone, okay? So all the person has to do is go in here and fill in the missing information, okay? Can't type today. Okay. Now, once you fill in all the boxes, I have this set up so that the save button will not be active unless all the boxes are filled in. Okay. And then you hit save. As you can see, it created the item. It brought you back to the main screen. All right. Now, what you do is you select anywhere in this row, and you click this button. It'll take you to this screen, which has got nothing on it. All right. And then you go through and fill it out. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to go into these ones I have filled out. I'm not going to go through everything, and it'll take too long. So, as you can see, I filled in, none of this information is real except, I mean, this is my address, but everything else on here are just numbers I randomly put in there, okay? As you can see, I filled everything in. Never did quite figure out why this will not translate to an actual phone number, but that's something I can figure out later on. Now, this combo box right here is multiple select. That's that multiple select field I showed you. I don't ever leave it come back up, okay? That's why I put this over here. This is blank when nothing's selected, okay? So if I want to add to it, like say I want to do the CRC in there, I can click it and it automatically adds it over here. Once I leave the screen and come back, this will blank out again, okay? I also added another container for this field right here. So if you're using your own motorcycle, you hit yes, and the screen pops up, and you got to fill in this information. And then once you fill it in, and I forgot to make sure the container is on top, so you just go reorder, bring it front, and that will fix that. Okay, now, so you got, you know, make, model of the motorcycle, insurance company, and policy. Okay, that's not a real policy number, by the way. Once you get done, you hit save changes and it closes the window. Now, On my forms, when it says save changes, you're not saving anything. I'm just closing whatever I opened up. Okay, because it's when you go to hit generate form, everything gets saved at once. Now, the other technique you can use is you can use the patch function on each of these fields. As you fill it in, you can have it saved to SharePoint if you want to. That's why it's important to build a record first. That way it makes it easier for you to manage the data. So once you get everything filled in, you're going to hit the generate form, and what it does is it saves all your data to SharePoint, and then it advances you to the first page of the printable screen. As like I said, my internet's been kind of shoddy today, so. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little better. Oh, it wants to be done. Okay. I forgot when I'm playing it, it does that. So let's do this. Let's come out of this. I'm actually going to run it like a normal app. I'm not going to run it in editor because it won't let you zoom in. It'll let you zoom in on the it'll let you zoom in when you just play it. So let's go back in here. Generate form. Alright. So see, that looks a lot better. I can actually see it now. Alright, so starting at the top, what I did is I built this form out using rectangles, labels, icons, and using the screen template of a printable portrait screen. Okay, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. So anything you see at the top as a header, it's a label, and then everything under here is a label too, unless you want it to be editable. Then you're going to use a text field of some sort, right? So what I did is I took the last name, first name, and middle initial fields of that first screen, and I combined them here. And address, I combined it. There's phone number, email address. I just used the work email for this one. Driver's license number, endorsement. You'll notice all those fields I had on my custom form are here. Okay. You'll notice that some of the fields are missing. That's because I didn't fill it in on the form. So let's go ahead and fill it in. So let's go in here and let's go down here. Now, the part that's missing is right here. It's the emergency point of contact PLC. I can embed it in this combo box field. Okay, so let's just go in here and I'm just going to grab a random name. I'll just hit space so it comes up. We'll say Alex Wilbur. Okay. Normally it wouldn't be like that because we got it all zoomed in. Alright, so it filled in as much information as it could pull from Active Directory. Of course, it's not going to know its rank because it's not a real person. So let's put specialist in there and we hit save. And then we'll go generate form. Alright, see now it's got his information in there. And I forgot the organizational information. The phone number's there though. Okay, that's weird. Alright, well, I'm not worried about it. Alright, so you go through, you'll see it puts all the numbers in there just like it's supposed to. And those courses that you selected earlier, I have all these have circles in them, but if they weren't selected in that drop down, nothing's going to show up here. Okay, it'll just show no circle. But the circle's there, it's just invisible. But it'll print just like that. And when you select your age, it just has a drop down with these groups, and depending on which group you select, that's the X that's going to show up. Okay, like I showed you on the, if you use your own motorcycle, see, there's the information you put in there. Like I said, you cannot do digital signatures with Power Apps, so image, but it's not truly a digital signature. And some agencies actually require you to wrap your stuff with a certificate, so you can't just put a picture in there. Because they'll look, I'm sure. But I did fill it, but you can fill in everything but the signatures, right? So you go in here, see there's your first page, and you go to the second page, which is only two. You come in here. Now keep in mind, like this right here is just an image. What I did is I just screenshotted the original form, and I put it right on the screen. And I, got it close to the same size as I could. And then down here, that's a signature, that's a signature, that's a signature. So These are all filled in from the form, the custom form that we made. And you see only lines that are empty are the signature blocks, like I said. Except for that phone number in the front. I don't know why it's doing that. It was working. For some reason it's not now. But Power Apps is not a perfect thing, so, you know, you get little glitchy things like that. And that's it. Now, when you go to print, you have to print from, you have to be playing it, okay? You cannot hold the Alt button down and hit print. It won't work. It won't let you. It'll even tell you, hey, you must be playing this app. But holding down the Alt key is not playing the app. That is a temporary thing, just for checking things. It can't do everything. All right. So when you hit print up here, it's going to use the printing function from your browser. Okay. And as you see, why does it look like that? Okay, whatever. All right. So as you see, it's a little wonky. I probably could have made it a little bigger, but you want to get it full page as you can. You can select your printer here. You know, this is just your regular everyday printer. You want to print it to PDF, so I select print to PDF. We want portrait as an orientation, all pages, because there's only one. I mean, it's not a lot you need to do. Now, there is a setting in here you got to turn on if you use a background image. Okay, some people do, some people don't, and that's to print backgrounds. Okay, I built this thing all out in a real screen, so I didn't need an image. But if you use an image on the background, like if you put a DUI or a watermark or something in the back to, you know, give it a little more better of a visual, you're gonna have to turn that on, or it won't show up here. Okay, and then when you hit print, you just print. It'll print to a PDF. Okay, so you hit print. It'll come up here, and we'll just see it comes up as a PDF. So we'll say waiver page 1. Okay, you hit save. It'll generate the form eventually. It's taking its sweet time. Well, while it's doing that, I'm going to navigate to the next page, and I'm going to hit my print up here. Now, keep in mind, you got to set up these icons so they don't print during the print procedure. Okay, so if you notice, you got a house up here, and I got a button down here, right? You go to hit print. You'll notice that they're gone now. Okay. Now you can actually set this up so it stretches it. Number, fit the page width. Oh, I see. Scale. See, we can do this. You know, you can. 125 would probably be close. Oops. Oh well, I didn't mean to do that, but okay. Okay, I try to use the same format for both pages. Alright. Normally it opens it, but it didn't this time. Oops, wrong one. Alright, I'm going to bring up my downloads. And then, I figure that's where I put it. Maybe it's in documents. Oh wait, I better put it on my OneDrive. So let's go to my OneDrive here. Let's go to downloads there. I have a lot of downloads, so it's probably going to be a big list here. Come on. Nope. It's not there either. Where did it put it? Okay. Well, let's refresh. print this again. I'm gonna see where I put it. I didn't pay attention enough to see where I put it. My computer's having a bad day today, apparently. Let's see where it's putting it. Yeah, it's in down. Oh, it's on my local machine downloads. Okay, that explains why I can't find it. All right, so let's go into our local machine. Stop. And we'll go to our downloads. Yeah, that's probably this one. Yep, there it is. There's my 2 pages. So what you do now is you go like this, and you combine them. You combine them with Adobe Acrobat if you have it. If not, you can just print them individually if you want to, and then just run it through a copier and put them on one page. But if you open it up, if you look at the document when you open it, it looks real. It looks real enough. Come on. Computer's having a bad hair day today, so just gotta bear with me for a little bit. It's not liking the refresh stuff on here. All right. So. Alright, so I'm going to make it the size of the screen so you can see it better. Alright, as you can see, it's a little shifted. I mean, like I said, this is a work in progress, so this is definitely not a final product. I'm going to work with my client and see what we can do better with it. But as you can see, it looks real enough. You know, you go through and you can see everything. And then if we open up page 2, which is... Oh, it goes up, sorry. You can open up page 2. See, everything printed to the PDF. So all they gotta do now is print it off, sign it, and then rescan it in and email it to whoever they gotta go to, and it's done. As you see, the form does most of the work for you. So now we're gonna go back into our Power App, and we are going to do a little. We're going to go through the form little by little and show you what I did. Like I said, I'm not building it from scratch. It took me like 2 or 3 days to build this because of all the problems I had. Normally it should only take a day, take like 4 or 5 hours, but yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So let's start with the main screen. That seems to be the simplest right now. Alright, so when you start out, you go to new screen, you're going to select a blank template because I want a landscape, right? We want a tablet looking thing, right? Now, this is it comes up, your screen comes up as a, I think it's 1366 by 8 something. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've done this. So if you go in your display settings, it'll show you. I got it set for 16:9, which I think it comes like the 1366 by 869 or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers. Okay. First thing I did is I put a label up here. I just put a background color and a font color and stuff like that. You want to put the label in there first before you put the icons because you want the icons on top. Okay. Now it's easy enough to use the align function and you can bring it to the front, but why do it if you don't need to? You know, just do it in the right order. Okay, this is just a label. I made the background blue and the font white, and then I just put the words in the thing up here, and then I dropped these icons on top. Okay. Next thing I did is I made headers. Same thing. They're just labels that I put background colors on. And then for the gallery is a simple gallery. Okay, right now I got it showing everything. Okay, now if you want to add like a status column in there and you know it goes through a process, like you got initial submission, approval, and completed. Okay, just a real simple approval process. you know, and you don't want to see the completed, then you're going to use filter statements and stuff like that. But for what I'm doing here, I just showed everything in the list. When you do that, you just got to put the data source in the items, okay? And then I don't think I did anything else to this. Nope, don't look like it. Oh no, I did it on select too. Okay, so inside the gallery, I got two fields. This is the title field right here. I called it name of submission, and then date submitted. That's just the created field, which comes with every lesson library. So I literally did not use any of the fields that I put in there. I did not use in the gallery here. Okay, the title and the created come with the list when you create it, so it's already there. I just renamed it, I think. Nope, I didn't rename it. It's just still called title. Okay, and then to edit an item, all I did is I went onto the on select of the whole row, which that's not the whole row. All right, so on the on select, I had that initial screen you saw that has the name of the writer, and then, you know, his first name, last name, middle initial, both emails, and a phone. Since they're separate from everything else, I put reset commands in here for them, so that way they're always going to come up blank, because the only time you're going to use that screen is when you're creating a new item, okay? And when you create a new item, you want everything blank. You don't want anything pre-populated in there unless you know what's supposed to be in there for that person. And there's no way you can know that. So it's just best to clear them out. And that's what the reset command is for. All right, so I do that first. And then I navigate to my container, okay? I use the variable to trigger it, okay? So I got variable initial session. I set it to 1. You can set it to true, false. It doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is whatever this value is, you're going to set the visible command of that container, or the visible property of that container, so that way it will show up when it's supposed to, okay? And that's literally all I did for this screen right here. The plus sign. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. That was the plus sign. I'm sorry. That's what. For the plus sign, that's the command I just showed you. That's what it was. Now for editing a record, I'm gonna pull the entire record into a variable called var edit record. Okay. Anytime you see this item by itself and nothing behind it, that means it's pulling the whole record. Okay. And then once it grabs that record from this item right here, it's going to navigate to the custom form, which is the second screen that we do when you're making a new one. The second screen you see, that's the one we're going to with this. And then I just said screen transition cover right. For the refresh button, it's just refreshing the data source. So I'm just going to refresh safety motorcycle form data, which is the name of my SharePoint list that I got everything going to right here. Okay. Now the unit registry thing right here, that's just for unit affiliation. That's all I use it for. I don't use it for anything else. Alright, so that's that screen. Alright, so next we're going to do is we're going to go to the container that I made. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. I want to open it up. Alright, for this looks like a screen, but you notice there's only 4 screens here. But this is not there. So where I put that, I put the container right inside the first screen right here. You'll see it says CTR there. That means container. That's my naming convention for container. And if you look underneath there, it's got a lot of controls in here. Okay. So up here, this is literally just a label. Okay. My computer's blacking out again. Now for the combo box, come on, select it. On the items property, This is the command you're used to seeing for, you know, search boxes, right? For looking up somebody's account information. All right. I don't like when you click on it and it brings all the stuff down before you even start typing. It looks messy. It looks unprofessional. Well, with this, with the way I got this command set up, which I'll walk you through here in a second, when you click in it, it doesn't do any searching because it's blank. So I'm telling it not to search unless there's something in it. Okay. And up at the top here, you'll see this part right here is what makes that possible. Okay. We're saying if CB writer name, which is the name of that control, dot search text, because remember, in here we're doing a search text. This is the data. We're saying if that is blank, it is not blank, do the command. If it's blank, don't do anything. Now, on the when you do put somebody's name in there, my computer's lagging bad today. You select their name, and you'll notice this box pops up to the right. Okay, and all I did for that is I just made a. See, these are just. It looks like it's another screen. It's not. It's just a bunch of. It's just a bunch of labels and text boxes. Okay. All I did is I did this. I highlighted every field in here, and then I went into the visible command, and I said if the text field of last name, which is this box right here, if it isn't, only show them if it's filled in. That's what that exclamation means. It means not. Not is blank. So basically it's saying, hey, is it blank? I mean the opposite. So that's why it shows up when, you know, the last name gets populated. I didn't think it looked very good if you have a bunch of empty boxes and data just suddenly appears in them. You know, this way it looks like it's always there. And these are just simple text fields, you know, just to pull in data, and they go to SharePoint. As you can see in here, when you go to this, I want to talk about data here. We're going to come back to our last record that got created, which should be the last one. As you can see, it does save everything inside this list, all the way across in every field. Okay. I wish Taylor was this one. All right, so, and then you notice the save button here. The way you get it where you want it grayed out before you submit or save the stuff, you go down to, or you go to the display mode, and I got it set up saying if this is blank or this is blank, or now this is the OR command right here. Okay, it's two pipe symbols, which is shift. It's shift colon, not colon. Trying to think what's the pipe commands with. I don't remember the symbol, but you just shift in that key and it'll give you a pipe. And you need two pipes for an OR. If you want an AND function, an AND, A-N-D, then you use shift 7, which is the apparent symbol, and it works the same too. This is all one command. This whole entire thing. Okay. Basically, I'm using an if statement saying if text last name is blank or text first name is blank, or so on and so far, all the way to the end. And if everything is true here, it will disable it. Okay, we want them all filled in. And then if they are all filled in, it'll edit, which will make the button turn. This is all for the button. Okay. Now, once you get them all filled in, once you get data in here and they're all filled in, as you can see, as soon as I filled in all the boxes, that save button turned blue. Now, the save button, I actually did set this up. Now, you have to save here because we need to create the initial record, right? And I used the patch command for it because because we're not using a form control, we can't use form.updates or submit form because there's no form. Okay, it's just a bunch of controls grouped together to make it look like a form. Okay, so basically the way this works is you go patch your data source. Now, if you're doing a new item, which is the only thing we're doing, you're going to use defaults and then the data source as your record. Okay, because the record hasn't been created yet, so you have to do it this way. And then you put the brackets to create a record, and then you put the title of your column that's in SharePoint, and then what data you want to go with it. See, I actually combined last name, first name, middle initial, and the date. Okay, that's the title field. That's this field right here. See how it's got my last name, first name, middle initial, today's date. Okay, and it's got today's date and time. Okay, you can do it any format you want to, because as you can see right here, that's what I did. I said the date portion of it, I put 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, space, 2-digit hour, 2-digit minute. Okay. If you got it set up where it doesn't display time, it's still going to show the time because of this command, but it's going to say midnight for everything. And then next field is, then you put a comma at the end of each one, and you go to the next one, column name on SharePoint, and what you want in there, so on and so forth. So you can customize the data. So like proper means just capitalize first letter of each word. Okay, because I'm doing last name and first name, middle initial, and all that. I want it to look right in case someone types it in, because it is a text box, so someone can change the capitalization if they want to. Well, I want it to look right, so that's why I did it there. Middle initial is only going to be a letter, so I want it uppercase. Email is always you want in lowercase. Phone is just the phone data that's in there. Writer's name is this. .display name. I want it to populate it back up, so that's why I put that in there like that. You close the record, then you close the patch. And then what I do is I refresh the data source to make sure it populates when I open the form back up. And then I'm setting this variable that opened up this container, I'm setting it back to 0 so it'll hide the container. Okay? And that's this container right here. Okay? Now, you're going to come back to the main screen. So let's go ahead and save this. So we'll close it. I could have put a back button on there or a cancel button, so that way you didn't have to save it if you don't want to. But yeah, like I said, there's about a million different ways to hack this off. Alright, so you come in here, it creates your item. So now you're going to go in here and you're going to select your item that you got created. So we'll just do this one. This one's already got data in it. So, alright, for your custom form, this is a pretty straightforward, simple thing. It's mostly just text fields. Some of these are drop downs, and I hand jam these in here because the options that never change in here, just hard code them into the form. You don't have to do anything special with them. Sometimes you pull them from data sources. Sometimes you have your own techniques on how you pull choices into a choice column. I just hand jammed it in here using brackets. Okay. This one here has got yes, no, permit. Okay, and that's your endorsement field here. So on the form, what I did is, you notice this says yes, no, and permit here. On the form, it's Y, N, and P. So what I did is when we get to the form, you'll see that I use the if statement to say, hey, if it says yes, put a Y. If it says no, put a no. And if it doesn't say either of those, write P for permit. Okay. This is the one choice field here. I'm pulling from a data source. You remember over here I had unit registry here. That's what this is. I'm just pulling all distinct entries from this data source from this column. Okay, so when you go to select this drop down, it only shows one of each. Now, if you got more than 500 items in your data source, you must up it to 2,000, or it's not going to display them all. Now, if there's more than 2,000 items get pulled in, then you have to do some filtering and some You got to use find and search and distinct. I don't think distinct is delegable. I know it's search, find, and something else. There's 3 commands that'll look at all the commands. It's better to use filter, because what you do is you find something that's common among all the choices that you want to show, and you just filter out that stuff, and it'll get it under 2,000 items. And the way you do that is you go through your settings here, you scroll down in your general section here, and you'll see data row limit. Okay, I always set mine to 2,000. That's like the first thing I do before I even start building the form. I do not want to forget about this, because with this one, it's got 580 some entries. I think it's just over 500, and it'll say 500 here by default. Okay, what it does is it'll get down to, I think, the 19th SFG, and it won't show nothing after it. But if you look, there's a lot more entries there. So it's important to up that thing. I know there wasn't 2,000, so I don't have to worry about delegation, but that's what that's for. Okay, this is a combo box, just like on the first screen when you go to create your record. It does the same thing. It doesn't search until you do the thing. So if you look at the items, it's exactly the same as that one over there, except it's just got different, data points here. But one thing I did do differently is, which I need to show you on the other thing. I did the same thing on the other one, and I forgot about it. The on change. Okay, this is where I set my variables. Okay, so my first variable I set is the name, which is right here, and it's saying I use a user profile. Give me the surname and the given name for this one, and then I got emergency phone contact. Remember, there's 3 fields, right? There's your 3 variables, and then I pass those variables onto the form, the printable form, so that way it's easier to get it on there. You can't just move this stuff around easily. You have to use variables. Okay. This is that age field I was telling you about. If you look at it, I just put it in brackets and put my choices in there because they're going to be hard coded, and depending on what I select, that's what's in there. These are all text fields. Now here's my multiple select. This one was a little tricky. This is one I spent about a day and a half trying to figure this out. And I didn't totally figure it out, but this worked for what I needed. Okay, so when you go in here, you can multiple select all you want. The items field looks just like the regular choice field. Okay, just say there. But so what I did is I have select over here. Now this formula is a little more complicated because I had 2 different situations going on here. If you're opening up an existing record that has stuff selected already, but you want to add more to it, you got to be able to get that to dynamically work that way. So I put an if statement in here, and it says if edit var edit record, which is, remember, that's our record that we're pulling when we click on the one we want to open. It copies the whole record into this variable, so all the properties are in there from the SharePoint list. Okay, it says if this is not blank, use the edit record dot previous courses to populate this field, and then put a comma and then concatenate everything from here at the end of it. Now if it is blank, then just concatenate what's in this thing. So since this is an edit record, it's got both. Like, remember we selected CRC, but the BRC, BRC2, and ARC were already selected from before. So it put those first, and then it put CRC at the end. Okay. Now, this is just like this up here, where I use a variable to open up a container, and I'm not going to go through all that. This one was just text boxes, so there's nothing special about it. And this one here, I don't think I actually showed you this one. No. That's right. This is just saying if anyone is attending the course that is less than 18 years old, what is the relationship to them? You know, because you're filling out the form for them, you know, for their course if they're taking one with you. And you just got to put what your thing is. And then that's the whole form. Now, we're going to go into the form itself. All right, starting at the top. All right, so the first thing is we're taking, now that var record, edit record is handy unless you update something. Then you have to go back in and do it, and it's just, it causes problems, but I didn't use this for everything, but the name isn't going to change. Okay, so I just left it alone. So I'm saying I'm combining data, right? I got 3 different columns here that I'm combining into one field. Okay, I'm saying take your last name, then put a comma and a space, then put the first name, then put a space, and then put the middle initial. And that's what I did right here. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see it better. Now, I did the same thing for the address. I took the address, and then the city, and then the state, and then the zip code, and I put it all in one field. Okay? Phone number is just the phone number. Email is just the email. Driver's license. Now, here's that thing I was telling you about earlier. The endorsement. Okay. So, it says if that drop down equals yes, put a Y. If the drop down equals no, put an N. Otherwise, put permit. That probably should have been a P, but it doesn't matter. Date of birth. Now you'll notice the date format is weird. Not a lot of people put 2-digit day, 2-digit month, and then 4-digit year with slashes in between. It's usually month, day, or year, or a single month, single day, and then the year, or the year, then the month, then day, day, whatever. So what I did is I used the text command to reformat it for me. Okay, so I basically said, hey, take the birth date field, dot selected date, put it in a date format, but then I want the date format to look like this. Okay, so you can do it however you want. There's like 30 different ways of doing it, but this follows that format that way. Gender, male and female. Okay, remember on the form it said the word male, M-A-L-E, and female, F-E-M-E-L-E. Okay, that's another one of those statements I did. Oh my God, stop. Keeps hesitating. All right, so it says if the gender field dot selected dot value equals male, put an M, otherwise put F. So anytime you see 2 results right next back to back together with that, the second one's usually default. Basically means if nothing else rings true, then put that. Okay, this is just dropping in the field, dropping in the, see that there's your variable names I was telling you about earlier. Now when you have the name in here, it'll have the name behind it. So, sorry. It's going to put your rank, then a space, and then it's going to put the name behind it. And then over there is just a phone number. Next section, it's just text. We're just dropping in text fields, right? So, as you can see, it's just regular things, so it's easy. Now for this, I used what's called a switch command, okay? With the switch command, only one thing can be selected, okay? Actually, I used it for this. Okay, never mind. Disregard. Maybe I did it with this. Was it this one? Oh, like this is display mode. Okay, whatever. Alright, so the if command basically says if I selected 18 through 20, put an X there. So basically only one of these are ever going to be selected because you can only select one thing. Okay, so that says 1824. See, it's just looking for something in that drop down that I selected. Okay, so you can highlight the whole thing, it'll tell you whether it's getting an X or not. So if I go here and I highlight the whole thing, it's probably going to say no. can see if it's working right or not. Originally, I was using a fill to fill these in, but when you go to print on the PDF printer, it doesn't show up. That's why I decided to go with circles. The circles were fairly easy to replicate. And then down here, it's just, here's another combination field. These are singles, right? And then down here, I put today's date. Okay, so I just put text today and then the format that I wanted. This is the traditional military format. So it's, you know, day slash the full month spelled out slash 2-digit year. You can use 4-digit year if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's not like this thing's going to be 100 years old. Okay, so that's the first form. And then the second form's even easier because it's just a bunch of pictures and a few fields. Okay, so that's loading the pictures. I'll go to the top. All right, now something I did forget to show you on the last page, but I'll show you now. These icons right here, right? You do not want them showing when you're printing. So the way you do that is you go down to the visible command, and in here you're going to put not, and then inside the parentheses you're going to put parent.printing. Okay, so basically it says it's visible all the time except while you're printing. That's what that means. Okay, now you can see here this is one picture. Okay, and the way you put images in your forms is you got this little media section over here. You're going to click it and you're going to upload your pictures here, and then you're just going to drag them in. You cannot drag and drop them onto the canvas. Okay, you have to upload them first. And you can see down here, upload media files can be are no larger than 65. That's per file. Okay, but you can only put 200 megabytes of files in here, or you'll hit the hard limit that nobody can change. But I've never got any close to it. I mean, I got 2 images here, and it only used up 276 kilobytes. So, and these images are fairly large. As you can see, they're just, that's a picture and that's a picture. I honestly didn't feel like filling it in or typing it all in, because you can't just copy and paste into this thing. So, and then outside of those pictures, I got, you know, label. This is actually a rectangle. As you can see here, it says rectangle, but look at the height, it's 2, so it's basically a line. That's how I make lines in here, as I use rectangles. Okay, now this, you see how it's got see how this looks funky because the M's little? I can go in here like this and just type in the word proper, encapsulate it in parentheses, and boom, it's fixed. See how easy that was? That's all you have to do really, is you go through and just fix stuff. See, that's just your driver's license number field, same with that one. There's your relationship field that you saw on the first page. Today's date again. Same format. Come down here. I'm going to go ahead and fix this too while I'm here. Come on. Sometimes you gotta click off the form for it to work, right? Thing's being dumb for some reason. Whatever. Alright, so you fill that in and that's it. And remember that not parent printing thing has to be on this button as well. Okay, and all of these are just navigation buttons, they're nothing special, and that's the whole thing. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. If you got any questions or comments, put them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.